All right, Dad.
All right, son.
All is good. So we are back.
We are.
Season 2.
Yep.
Chats with Dad.
Yep.
A lot has happened.
Oh, my goodness.
It's been almost 2 years since we recorded Season 1.
Wow.
Chats with Dad. Can you start by taking our listeners through some of the changes you've been through, some of the things that have happened?
Oh, well, first thing, I can't believe that it's 2 years. That's amazing. Second thing is this series, I think, will probably be so much better, even though the first series was amazing, just because you've now taken that stupid thing off the bottom of your chin and you just look so much better. But yeah, 2 years, I mean, that is frightening, which just proves how quickly time flies, really, and how we've got to make the most of everything, I suppose. Okay, summarizing the changes. Well, for those that would know me, I was the executive director, a franchise owner within an organization called BNI, Business Network International, a global referral marketing organization. And I've been in BNI for near on 24 years and loved it. Very passionate about what it does and the fact that I had the ability to make a difference to people and the way they live their life and enjoy their life and just generate more business using referral marketing. October 2020, I was very heavily involved, very heavily in the business. And then I kind of had a moment, I think. It was always a plan to eventually retire. And for those out there, we all have a definition of retiring. And some people think, oh, I'll never retire. Well, it all depends on what our definition is. So my definition of retirement was always do the parts of the work that I love doing with those that I want to do it with, and that actually, importantly, want me to do it with them for. You know what I mean?
Want them to. Oh, now you're confusing me with the words.
Those people that wanted me to help them.
Yeah.
It was nice to feel valued. So it was do the stuff I liked and enjoyed with who I want, how and when I want, at the price I deserve. And there's a hell of a difference from the price I deserve to the price I want. Price I want, yeah. I'd love to help people for nothing. But actually, we're so busy sometimes helping other people become wealthier that we forget to enjoy our lives and we forget to become wealthier ourselves. So at the price I deserve. So it was always a plan to build up to that. But I think every time I turned the television on in October 2020, something like that, unfortunately and sadly, another one of my sporting heroes had passed away. So as you know, you put the telly on and, sadly, so-and-so passed away today. And being that I'm nearly 60 now, it seemed to be 5 or 6 in a row that I kind of looked up to, and they were my generation of sporting heroes. And the reality was every one of them was 71, 72, 73. This sounds terrible, but I almost wanted to see a spate of, I'm not saying I wanted to see a spate of people dying.
I know.
I almost wanted to see that if someone had unfortunately passed away, they were 89, 95. And I'm not being disrespectful to those of you listening that are 89 or 95, but almost having that feeling of, oh dear, that's very sad. There's always they had a good life. I mean, Try telling them that when they died.
Yeah.
The reality was, it hit me that, wow, that's 13 years, 14 years, 12 years. It really hit me. And no matter how many times I was saying 12 years, 13 years, not once could I make it sound a long time. And whoever's listening to us from this particular podcast, don't wait to get to nearly 60. We always hear these stories when we're younger. When we get to this age, we'll consider retiring. I'd always say, start your definition of retirement early. Really early. Don't think when you're 25 that 50 is a mile away. How quickly did it get to 25 for you? Because it's going to be quicker to go from 25 to 50. So define your definition and plan it. Not easy, but plan it. So for me, it was always about living our life as best as possible. But it hit me at that moment that I wanted to go to the grave at some stage with the words, no regrets. And, we can't choose when that day is. And what I didn't want to happen, because I was working so hard to make the future as I wanted it, that what if it never arrived? Seriously, what if it never arrived? So I made an instant decision that I wanted to enjoy life even more. I wasn't having a bad life, working very, very hard, but I wanted to make sure that, I have got a bucket list. I mean, how many of us actually have a bucket list? A bucket list, by the way, is what would we like to achieve by the time it's all over? And I think a lot of people don't create a bucket list because it seems unachievable. Maybe, I don't know.
It's what we said in the first series when we spoke about BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
People don't look towards what will I genuinely like to achieve. And like you said, they don't appreciate sometimes their own mortality. And that's why I was so excited for you when you said that, because I've had that, I've always hassled you for years. Like, when are you going to start? Not that you weren't enjoying it,
Sure.
but enjoying you've done the hard work for years and years. I'm working hard so that I can do this, so that I can do this. And I remember my biggest fear was always, what if you pop your clogs and never do?
Yeah.
Because you're working so hard, you're forcing yourself towards the early grave.
Yeah.
And I always thought, what if those things you say one day don't come now? And I think that's why you've instilled in me that kind of, I made the bucket list and I've gone hell for leather.
Bucket list?
Yeah, sort of like the life goals, the bucket list. And it's just, I've tried to, I've gone like, I'm not going to wait till I'm 40, 50. I'm going to do it now.
Sure.
Not that I'm assuming I'm going to die early. That's a weird way of putting it, but make the assumption that I might. So instead of going, when I'm 50, I'll do it. I'm going, no, I want to do that. So I'm going to try and do it as soon as possible.
Well, the fact is, when you talk about, I'm going to do it now, I'm sure some people listening to this will be thinking, well, yeah, that's right, but I can't do it now. I've got the bills, I've got expenses. I understand that. But one of the Bergisms, and we'll hear a lot of these later, but one of the Bergisms, if you don't start, you never finish.
Yeah.
And the problem is people don't finish because they never start. So if you create this bucket list, even if some of it's a dream that you really think isn't realistic, it doesn't matter. You have set things that one day you'd like to achieve. Then you add to that by prioritizing, well, what is achievable sooner rather than later? And even if you chip away at, well, then that's the next thing that I feel I'd like to do and actually realistically could do, and by when. And that, if you do that, you will chip away at that list. And as you say, you never know when it's over. But if you turn around and say, well, no regrets. I had a bucket list of 20 things, 50 things, and I did 10 of them, and then that got taken away because someone above or below chose to take us, okay? But the reality for me is creating that list without concern of, can I have it? But then picking one. I mean, another good Bergism is, pick your battles, but pick one of them.
Yeah.
Because everyone's heard of pick your battles.
Yeah.
But turning it into a Bergism is pick your battles, but pick one of them. In other words, have your dreams, but don't just allow them to stay dreams. Pick one and then think, yep, tick, I've done it, I've enjoyed it. So I think for me, and I appreciate the way you described it, I mean, I wasn't ever in denial because I think too many people can be in denial.
Yeah.
They hear great advice. You inspire me a lot, and you always kind of challenge me, which I love. And I know it comes from a good place and a good heart. So there's always people that challenge us and you think they just like challenging us.
I think some people challenge you to challenge themselves in a way. They're looking for you to say something that makes them go, actually, yeah, it's not so bad that I feel that way. He hasn't really got it figured out. Yeah. I get it a lot with the stuff I'm doing now. I get challenged a lot.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Don't interrupt me, by the way.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just a point.
No, but I genuinely think you've got a great point. There are many different reasons why somebody would tend to, if you like, give you their opinion. Some of them, they're not worth their opinion. Yeah. Some of them just like hearing their own voice. But people like you, I mean, forget you're my son. You're amazing. I know you study a lot and you're into having a good life, whilst I've added to that with my repertoire now. I'm into people enjoying life as best as possible, whilst realistically living with the stress and the chaos and the drama of it. Because people do live in the stress and the drama and the chaos and don't allow themselves to think, well, I can have one good day or I can have one good hour.
One of the things you taught me was the activities start now, the results come later. Absolutely. So when I said now before, that's what I meant. Not I'm going to go for this now, but I found that everything that I started working towards for one day, instead, and you always said to me, put the timeline on it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this in any sort of look at what I've achieved way. This is just, it's a fact now of what happened.
Yeah, you've done brilliant.
When I set out to go, one day, in the next 5-10 years, I'd love to have a book. In the next 10 years, I'd love to be able to run my business from wherever I want with a laptop. all these things that I planned towards because of your teachings in 5-10 years, using the activities start now, the results come later.
Yep.
So instead of going one day, I'll start writing a book so that one day I can have a book. I thought, right, I'm going to start researching now. I didn't even know what the book was going to be. I'll start researching now, knowing that that will bring that 5-year, 10-year book sooner. But then what happened by doing that activity start now, the book came within 2 years.
Right.
And I've put that because of your teachings into so many aspects of my life. And you know this, like all the different things I've planned towards. So one thing for the listeners that's changed for me is I now live in Portugal. I live in Portugal. I surf every day. And as well as with Picaroons and some other business opportunities that I'm starting up, I've also got Boa Vida Group that I'm going to be starting. It's going to be some Airbnbs in Portugal. Now that was a plan for me to have when I was 40s, 50s.
Sure.
And I wasn't even actively trying to make it happen sooner, but I was having conversations with people. If I had a spare day learning, I was reading things. And just by starting those activities now, the results have come so much sooner than I thought. And that is because of your teachings. That is because I start that.
Well, I appreciate you saying because of my teachings, but we can all share our knowledge with anybody. The reality is not because of my teachings, if that's the word you want to use. The reality is you decided to act upon what you liked hearing. And it all touches on desire. Did you desire to create, Boa Vista, a property company? Did you make a decision? Sometimes stars align as you begin the activity. So, we talk about goals, great, and I think people should have them. But it's perfectly okay as well if you have a desire, you had a desire to write a book, okay? I do believe—
But it was bigger than that. I'm going to interrupt you. It was bigger than that. It was your lesson not your lesson, but you're sitting at me of know your why. I knew what life I was working towards.
Yeah.
That's what this all comes down to. I knew what life I was working towards.
Yeah.
And you've always known the life you're working towards, as you said just then. But the difference is for me, I watched you always tell me for years and years and years, here's where I'm going to be one day.
Yep.
And I just saw that taking so long. And I'm not saying you were too slow, but it was taking you so long to get there. And I thought, okay, but when is that one day? When is that one day? And so when you then put that same belief in me of, right, what's my why? So my life goal was always to work from a laptop wherever I wanted. I decided that when I say always, when I was 19.
Yep.
I lived in Canada for those 6 months. I was bummed about working on the mountain. I decided this is the life for me.
Great.
But because of other aspects and things, I knew I wanted to move into a businessy route. So I knew I wanted, when I was 19, to be able to work remotely from a laptop. So if I could surf every day, I know that at that point I wasn't even surfing. It was that point, it was
sorry
skiing.
to interrupt you here.
That's
This is
all good.
really relevant. I'm probably going to share a secret with you now that as a dad, you hear things from your children. And I've always been there to support you, and I'm
always
hugely proud of you. But it was really interesting when you said, "Oh, Dad, I want to work from a laptop. I want to ski or surf as you now do every day, and I want the choice of working in the evening if I want to, and going out for a bite to eat during the day if I want to." And as your dad, and there's no book
and
on
flying home whenever I want to.
Absolutely.
And looking after you guys if something goes
wrong. You
say
flying home, originally your plan was Bournemouth, so I didn't think you'd be flying home from Bournemouth.
You didn't think this would be the home.
So I thought you'd be driving home from Bournemouth. But the reality for me was, I sat there and listened to you. I've always loved your drive. I've always loved your not so much your vision, but just your attitude, your belief, which actually that achieves a lot. That achieves a lot. You can have less skill with belief and attitude, and things will happen for sure. So I always used to think, that's great, son. That's amazing. But that's not real life.
Yeah. I remember. Enough people said it to me.
But then I also thought to myself, I'm sure Richard Branson's dad called him an idiot once.
Yeah.
So don't be stupid, son.
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't about, not that I'm knocking being a Richard Branson. It wasn't about being a Richard Branson. It was about people have beliefs, people have visions. And, you taught me this. When people say, why me? And this comes from you, congratulations. But you sometimes, you hear the saying, why me? And you say, well, why not me?
Yeah.
And I love that. I mean, I take things from you a lot.
Yeah.
It was like, why not me? And I've watched you evolve. And this isn't about bumping you up now. And you are. When people say to me, what does he do? it would be very easy for me to answer that with a work moment, but I say he is living the dream.
Yeah.
His dream.
Yeah.
And say he surfs every single day. He has some amazing business contacts. He is searched by people all over the world to do business for them. I said, and his Picaroons company is just developing amazingly. And I'm just kind of, he's doing it. And I'm hugely proud of you for that.
But going on the why not me theory then, so yeah, that was quite good you brought that up, because...
It's funny, by the way, this original question was what's happened to me in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I know, but this is what I mean, we go off on one.
It's good.
It's good, but we'll go back to it in a second, I remember
must go back to the original question.
Yeah, we'll go back to the question. But even for us, I mean, we haven't really, over the last 2 years, we've spoken, obviously a lot.
Yes.
We're working together now, which is something we'll cover at some point.
Yeah.
You're coaching me, I'm doing the content for you, we're doing the partnerships, we've got the rapper book. But really, and that's kind of part of this today, of we haven't really ever actually stopped in the last 2 years and sat down and gone, how's our mindset? It's been like, right, Dad, this thing we're working on. Or you said, well, what about this? I need help with this. Where are you going with that? So that's kind of the point of today, to actually go, yeah, let's reflect on our mindset shifts. And jumping back to that question, not the original one. So the why not me theory, which is something I know I've told quite a few people about, and I know they like this. So the why not me theory has 2 parts to it. And you're right, this is where I figured out when I was 19 where I wanted to be. As I said, I wanted to work from a laptop wherever.
But you're nearly 30 now, so how did it come about?
I am 30, Dad, but I'm glad you know my birthday.
Sorry, you're nearly 31. I do know your birthday, 8th of December.
Because I learned at 19.
Why 19? Why not 20? Why not 18?
I think part of it was when I was 18 and I snapped my knee, and that was the big real shock to my system of, I remember I really was into my rugby, and that kind of really affected that. And that was my first big, like, unexpected, things didn't go my way, and that wasn't part of the plan.
Yep.
And that gave me a bit of an appreciation for what I had. And then when I went to Canada, I appreciated even more what I'd had. But then I learned this new lifestyle of being active. And I think I met people that were doing these things that, being from the UK, being from around London, traditionally, you go to university, you get a job in a company, you work your way up the ladder. And I met people who were, I mean, when I say pirates, and we know I speak about the pirates a lot, but they were 6 months of the year, they were working in TV production. Then the other 6 months of the year, they were traveling the world, skiing.
Yeah, but stop there for a second, right? What you also have to acknowledge and give yourself some amazing credit, not that you don't, but everyone else in, say, you were in Banff, weren't you?
In Banff, Canada.
And there were other people in Banff that saw that lifestyle, would have liked it, but just either didn't believe they could have it or didn't work out a plan to have it. A very, very simple message, and then please carry on, was the fact that you, which I love about you, you have said, this is the way I want to live my life. And I've got to work out at that time how my work and my business can support that. Whereas I think, the old saying, which isn't mine, is we you live to work, or do you work to live? I mean, you love your work, you love what your business does for people, and I love that passion in you, but you so recognize that by making your clients successful, by helping them, if you like, be what they want to be, it's part of your satisfaction because that's what you're about. But you will only do that if you are able to live the lifestyle you want. And I think that's amazing. You start with, this is how I want my life to look, and your business decisions are all related around the quality of life. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and I again, that goes back to, I learned that from, I took your teachings. Let's say then I took your teachings and I developed on them.
Great.
Because I took your teaching
do I get any commission for that?
Yeah, no. Okay, I'll put you in a good retirement home.
Okay, thank you.
I took your teaching of know what you want your life to look like. What does your perfect day look like? But then I took that to the next level. So where you say, what's your perfect day?
Yeah.
I looked at that, and this is, look, I've always, maybe sometimes at the wrong time, looked for fun. So when I was at school, I was trying to have as much fun as I could all the time anyway, which maybe got me in some trouble.
Well, it depends. If any teachers of yours are listening to these podcasts, they'll go, yes, I remember you, Berg.
but that's the point of, like, no one would have necessarily thought I'd have done this, but you installed the mindset in me. And once I got to 18, I didn't do that well at school. Then at the end of school, I kind of switched it on and was like, oh, actually, I can, if I study and I work hard, I can do all right. And then it was just a sequence of things. So when I figured that out in Canada, of right, I want this lifestyle. I can't go back to that life I've had that doesn't include skiing or surfing or something active all the time. And I really just thought, I want to constantly have fun. I appreciate you've got to work hard to be able to have fun. You've got to have the money to be able to be comfortable. But I learned what I wanted. And then when I said, right, here's where I'm going to go, and your perfect day thing, what's your perfect day? I looked at that and went, okay, that's my perfect day. I don't want to just have one of them. Why wouldn't I try and have that every day?
Nice.
And I worked towards having a constant perfect day. And the why not me theory, where that then came up is when I was 19, I kind of figured it out. Not life, but I figured out I'm going to seek fun. I'm not going to seek work. And part of that was always seeing you work so hard we had amazing holidays, amazing days when you'd come watch me play rugby or football. But the rest of the week, you were up at 5 a.m. and working until 10 or 11. Sure. So I saw you make sacrifices to be able to have those amazing moments. And as I said, God forbid you pop your clogs early. Well, I would have rather had more time with you as opposed to those days. So my thing was more focused on not working so hard, having those days, but then also still being comfortable enough to have fun.
And the funny thing you said something a few minutes ago, and it was kind of, you said about a perfect day, Dad, and maybe one a month or whatever, but I wanted one every day. My immediate reaction was, that's great, son, but that's just not real life.
Yeah.
And what I've admired about you, and this is going to sound as if it's an insult, is you're as your dad.
Don't listen.
Well,
yeah.
No,
but it is.
As your dad, it's amazing. It's easy to say, you're very special, but you are very special. But I don't just say that as your dad, because in other ways, what people need to realize that are listening to this is you're an ordinary guy. You're an ordinary person coming from an ordinary, hardworking house. Okay. We weren't blessed with inherited money. We weren't blessed. We're still not.
They weren't. Where are we?
Exactly.
Where's that hiding?
Yeah. We're not blessed with, I wasn't academic. I've just been a bloody hardworking guy all my life and made the most of it. We're ordinary people. And what you should realize is, as an ordinary person, you are, when I say this isn't real life, you have and are making it real life. And that should inspire anyone that's listening to this, that you don't come from wealth, you don't come from privilege, you haven't got someone behind you funding your life.
I'd say I've got privilege, but yeah, I understand what you mean by
you have privilege compared to those that don't. You don't have privilege compared to those that do.
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay? We're ordinary people. We're not millionaires, multi-millionaires. We're ordinary people. Done okay, thank you. But through very hard work.
And that's which goes back to the original point that we were speaking about with everything. Everything I'm living, everything you're doing right now, this is probably my nice way to actually loop back to the original conversation we had. It goes back to that hard work. So just quickly touching on my why not me. The why not me theory was based around when I had a lot of injuries. After I figured out what I wanted in life, then I was like, right, I need to go to university, get my course. Then probably as soon as I finish uni, I'll go travel and I'll work from a laptop in whatever job. But then I snapped my right shoulder, then my left shoulder, then my right shoulder again. Then on my dream ski trip, to make the most of that, I snapped my knee 6 days in. Snapping, it's a theme. And then that operation to fix it went wrong. So I had to have 7 more operations. Then I got cancer in my arm in the middle of it. And all of that stuff that happened took me away from that life plan.
Of course.
In the plan being when I was that young. But those things, they never, ever changed that one day I was going to work from wherever I wanted with a laptop. So that focus is what led to the book. Never planned to have Picaroons.
But would you agree, though, when you said that one day, agreed at the beginning, it's very difficult to say, and that day will be in 3 years and 1 week or 2 years and 1 day.
No, but you always said to me about putting a time frame on it.
Well, yes, but the realistic part is you had the date of your result, the date of your destination can actually expose itself 1 or 2 or 3 months in after the correct activity. What you did, even if you couldn't say, right, and I want it within 2 years, which is ideal if you can, but there would be times you say, no, within the next 4 to 5 years, which someone may say that's not specific enough. What has to be specific is the activity that gets you on that track. And then as you see results, and as you say, unexpected results come in, you can start putting a date on it, because you have to have a date.
Yeah.
But you started with the correct activity. You knew, I've got to do the book, which is, as you say, the 104 social media content ideas. But you did have a vision. It wasn't just about the book. It was about visibility, credibility.
But going back to why, because the why was, I'm going to work from a laptop wherever I want. And then the steps were, well, to do that, I've got to have an expertise.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got to find an expertise. Well, then when I've got the expertise, how does anyone know I've got the expertise?
Right.
Well, I need to make something to show them. That's where the book came in. And that's why when I was having all those awful moments with the health stuff and had no money because that was going to the medical debts, and I had a job that I was stuck in I didn't particularly like. And it was just, when I say I had no money, I had money to rent and live, but not enough to go, do you know what, I've had a hard week, I'm going to go out all weekend.
Yeah.
So it was then, my whole focus was always spending the weekend, spending spare time, making the book, because the book was going to lead to the remote work and that life. But then what happened was, as I had more injuries, it was like, okay, well, I'm going to work even harder on turning this book into something even bigger, because the aim was always, the second that I'm done, the second that my body works, I'm going to live that life. And the more work I put in now, the better that life's going to be. So it just happened that when my injuries were finally done after those 7 years, it was like, right, now I've actually got a book and the potential to start this business, Picaroons. I wasn't expecting that. Originally, I was thinking I'd go work from a laptop and I'd be a junior designer, a junior person working remote. But in that time, because the end result had never changed and I'd worked towards that, that's what helped me focus on the book and all those things and that hard work. And now I'm actually going to say it before we go back to the main things. The why not me theory is, so the why not me theory is, with all of those things that happened, with all those injuries, everything that went wrong, it was, well, why not me? Who am I to be so special to not have everything go wrong? When you hear those awful stories, you know, when you hear about, it's horrible, and you think like, oh, what? Why is that happening to that person?
Of course.
Why not me? Who am I to not have everything go wrong, to not like my job, to not have much money, to...
Yeah, it's almost like, saying, why me? Well,
yeah.
What are you saying?
It's like, why not me?
Yeah.
Who am I to be so special? But the other side of that is, well, why not me be the person who got through this? And then, as you said, when people go, well, so what do you do? And I say, well, I've got these few businesses that I really enjoy running. And I live in Portugal and I surf every day. And I go out for dinner most nights, and I've got great friends around me and great experiences, and I fly back to see my parents quite a lot, and I've just got everything I'd want. I met a very, very, very few people when I was in Canada when I was younger that were living that type, like that real, like, how does that even work?
Absolutely.
Like, very, very few. So few that I know most people, as you said, go, well, I'm not going to get that.
That's great. Well, actually, it's not real life, because it's not their experience.
And that's the point of when you say, well, why not me? But then the link for the whole point of this episode now, which we can link back to, is you don't just go, why not me? And now I'm just going to sit here and wait for the universe to bring me that and good vibes and whatever. It was like, why not me? Okay, speaking to those people, what did they do? Well, they didn't just sit in their arse to get some inheritance. They went out and they worked crazy hard to eventually achieve something, that clear focus. And that was all I did. And I know now, nicely looping back round to your original thing, where you're living now, what you're doing now with your work, and that's what inspired me, was the hard work. People don't see that hard work that goes in. And I remember it was Kobe Bryant. Do you know his Mamba mentality? Do you know about that?
No.
Mamba mentality. You know, he was known as like Mamba. That was like his nickname.
I didn't. Kobe Bryant is the basketball player.
Yeah, so Mamba mentality was his thing of preparation and hard work will always outweigh talent.
Yep.
So it was, Mamba mentality was, you get up at 4 a.m. to work, because then when that opportunity presents itself, you're ready to take it on. So me writing a book, I was a junior person. Me doing presentations, I wasn't at that point of that. And everything for me was about getting that all ready, so when I got that opportunity, that chance to prove myself to do something, I could take that and move myself closer to that goal. And that's something, the hard work, that's without a doubt. You can't say the teachings. Of course, I've learned the hard work from you. You always taught me hard work to get towards what you want. And that was my outcome. It was, this is the outcome. Why not me to be the one to achieve that? So that every time something went wrong, every time I failed, as we all do multiple times, every single time, that didn't change the destination. That was like, right, that was a failure. That hurts. I was sad. I cried many times. But it's right, now pick myself back up, because that outcome I want, it might be further than I thought it was, but that why not me has not changed.
But that reminds me of the Bergism. Goals don't change, but the activity to achieve the goals may have to change. Okay, you only fail if what you're trying to do, you haven't done yet, but you still want to do it, but you quit.
Yeah.
That's when it's failure. It just might mean that if you haven't achieved what you want to at a given time, you haven't failed yet. Just the way you've tried it, attitude, direction, actions, just might have been the wrong actions. So your goals didn't change, your activity did. But, something that's come straight out of just listening to you just now, something that is so apparent is belief. Belief. Even if I don't quite know how yet.
Yeah.
Your belief for having that type of life was unswerving. And it's people's belief that lets them down. And I kind of have a 4-part process if ever I want to achieve something. Number one, I literally have to continue to say I will do it. Okay. If I know my why, I'll have to continue saying I'll do it. Number two, if I continue saying I'll do it, I'll forget what I used to say, and eventually I'll just believe it. Number three, I do it. It happens, I do it. Then number four, I just know I can.
Yeah.
And it sounds so simple, but you have to, even if your fingers are crossed under the table and you're telling people, this is what I'm going to do, okay? You just got to believe it, and it will keep happening if it's what you really want to do. Some people, they say that because they feel they've got to say it, or they don't really believe it. So you came across as belief throughout all of that amazing story. And I'm proud of you, because it's not normal people's real life, but you live in the dream.
But a thing on that as well is, and it's why you know this, and I know you're the same, I sometimes feel awkward saying about it, because I don't want to sound like one of those people going, oh, how unbelievable belief have I got and I achieve what I want. But this is something that I think that a lot of people don't realize about both of us. And I really learned about you, because obviously we've had COVID, we've had the lockdowns, and I was back when I wasn't in Portugal, I was back home and I was staying with you guys, and we were working together, and it was an intense atmosphere, not a bad atmosphere, but just because we were both building our businesses and doing our respective things. And something I really learned about you, which is the same for me, is that despite people seeing you as this person with unbelievable, unwavering confidence, you have a lot of self-doubt. And I have the same. And that's why I feel weird and it was nice to maybe say that stuff just then about what's happened over the last few years and my why not me theory, but I have so much self-doubt. I have such a lack of confidence a lot of times.
We should come back to that.
But that's what, to me, and sorry, to me, that self-doubt, that lack of confidence, that's what drives me to work hard.
Without doubt.
The same for you, I've seen it, of these outcomes, the book. I mean, you've got a book, I've got a book. We do presentations to thousands of odd people. Like I've got...
Odd people?
Odd people, yeah, sorry. Thousands of people. Odd people. No, I'm not calling people odd.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to publicly apologise to any of your previous audiences that you're not calling them odd. That's just a disclaimer.
1,000 and some people. And all these things we've done, like you said, I'm living in Portugal and I'm looking at it just going, even though it's why not me, sometimes I'm going, why me? But it is that thing of, through that self-doubt, and this is something I want to explore more with you, of why do you think it is that more people don't have, even though they don't have the confidence? What's that book you're reading at the moment? Like Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. Why do more people, and I think that's both of us to a T. It's all these things we're talking about, and like, we're not trying to blow smoke up each other. Like, it's not, well, amazing, I've done this. It's more what gets me inspired, and where I want to use you to inspire other people, because you inspired me with this, is it's okay to have self-doubt. It's okay to be really nervous.
Absolutely.
But then you got to go do it. And the thing that makes you go do it and not give up is being clear on what your why is, what you're doing it for.
Yes. And also, and I know we'll come back to this subject, but when you said before, you kind of can feel strange talking about it, you and everyone here needs to understand there's a difference between a fact and a boast. Okay, that's a Bergism, #Bergism. There is a difference between a fact and a boast. Now, in that scenario, it's all in the tonation of your voice. So when someone said, so what are you doing? You said, I'm living the dream. I'm surfing every day. I'm doing this, and I can go out to eat every night and have a fantastic meal, and I'm doing my exercises, and I'm doing this. What's heard is different from what's said, right?
Yeah, I don't want it to sound like that.
But there's the difference, you see. That's the self-doubt in you and the self-doubt in us. We worry that it does come across like that, as in, well, you've asked me a question, whoever it was, you've asked me a question, and I don't want to give you that impression about me as I answer it. So that is purely, self-doubt was right involved there, number one. And once you start realizing there's a difference between a fact and a boast, and to make it be heard as a fact rather than a boast, if you're aware of it, you will say it as a fact if relevant. If you're saying, oh, look at me, look at me, look at me, then your intent is wrong, and it will be heard that way. If you're saying, look, and I struggle when the first words tend to be, have you ever used the word, I'm really lucky? Is it you tempted sometimes say, look, I'm very lucky?
I'm very grateful. I think, and this is again part of your teachings, that when it comes to luck, who was it I was reading the other day? Was it Serena Williams or someone said, like, luck is just preparation meeting opportunity.
I love that. Well, I'm glad you don't use it much because, you can use it.
I use gratitude. I have so much gratitude every day, all the time, for so many amazing things in my life. But I think luck is, everyone gets lucky. And when they say luck, I'm like, okay, well, when I got cancer in my arm, I didn't feel very lucky. And there's enough things that aren't lucky.
That's such a good message because, there are times you could turn around and say, look, there are times when you could say, I'm really lucky. Okay. I have an amazingly good looking, strong, fit father, right? And a wonderfully beautiful mother.
I've got gratitude for that.
No, you're lucky.
I'm lucky. Actually, I suppose with you guys, I'm lucky. I know you're joking around. I'm joking around. I suppose with family, I feel very lucky. I do feel very, very, very lucky.
But gratitude, bear with me, you could replace that word lucky and it would work. Because in this instance, I'm very grateful. I have a lovely family, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that I think the moral of what I'm saying here is too many of us use the word luck because we kind of use that as an excuse that if it was not luck and if it wasn't luck, then it could be boastful. For example, I've changed my working conditions. I've changed my working life. I've changed my life. And we'll come back to that first question an hour ago.
We'll cover the first question soon.
But I still, and I'm moving from it because I recognize it. We talk about unconsciously incompetent to unconsciously competent. I recognize it that I still sometimes turn around and say, look, I actually wrote a presentation last night for a group of executives that I'm delivering to in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm talking to them about building and developing world-class teams. Okay. One of the slides at the end is all about, why do we want a world-class team? Where are we going? And on that slide, only last night, I put kind of my why on there. And it really hit me because I'm a visual learner. And I put my wonderful family, great picture of you, obviously, the all 4 of us. But I didn't put a formal picture that you'll remember there was a picture of us. All 4 of us are smiling stupidly. We were having a laugh at that picture I asked you.
Do you know that picture was of? That was the day that we found out I got the all clear of the cancer in my arm.
Oh, really?
That's that picture. That's why we have it out. That's why I love that picture.
It was just an amazing...
That was us being out for dinner that night. Yeah, that's one of my favourite pictures.
It'll have meaning, obviously, for us.
So much meaning.
But you just look at that picture and any family, forget that, there were 3 good-looking people on there and 1 ugly one. Any family...
Tash dyed her hair, didn't she?
any person on there, or look at that picture and think, there is happiness. And I look at that picture and think, wow, that is happiness. Then, and it was a challenge for me to do this. I've been very, very privileged. I've bought one of the nicest cars I've driven.
Gratitude, not privilege, though.
What word did I use?
You said privileged.
Okay, but...
You privileged or you got gratitude because you worked towards that?
Well, it's interesting. In this case, I'm probably not going to say gratitude, because if I'm grateful to me. I think I'm privileged.
It's not a bad thing to be grateful towards yourself for the work you put in to get it.
No, I like that, actually.
That's different, because sometimes you can... There's a really good book, and excuse my French, but it's called Fuck Being Humble. And it's like, you haven't always got to be... When I say humble, you can go... There's a Snoop Dogg one when he did I think he received like a star on the Walk of Fame. And he said, I want to say thank you to myself because I put in all this work. And yet, in a way, it could be seen, but actually, it's a fact.
But
it's how it is, but it's a fact.
There you go.
And your fact is, you got the nice car. You always wanted that car because you worked so hard for so long to achieve that car.
I have stopped saying, but it's still on the unconscious incompetence. I'm actually consciously competent. Consciously competent means you're still thinking about it. So I lead into kind of, I'm really lucky. People say, are you enjoying the car? And my first words almost like I'm apologizing for answering, kind of by saying, I'm so lucky. I said, yeah, do you know something? And I still actually say this to them. I say, do you know, I'm so tempted to say I'm so lucky, but actually I'm not. I've worked very, very hard for it, and I love the car. And they always respond by, yeah, you have worked hard for it. But it is humility.
I might start saying it, because I get that when people say, so you live in Portugal, you're surfing every day, and like Picaroons is going well. And I don't know if you noticed the other day when, I can't remember who was around, but that guy that was around yesterday when he asked me, and he said, and he kept asking things like,
you almost shrink into yourself.
Yeah, do you see me kind of shrink? Because he was like, but have you got any friends there? And I was like, actually, yeah, I've got a lot of friends. He's like, and is the business going well? I was like, yeah, the business kind of flying. And I kind of shrink, because it's like, I didn't do it to show, to put other people down. A lot of people are driven sometimes of, I need to achieve this to put that person down. I did it for my own fun because I enjoy it. And it's not, when people start asking, it is, I kind of shrink, but I'm going to start saying that.
So that helps as a transition. I mean, I'm a great believer, as you know, in correct messaging.
Well, it's the hard work's paid off, and that is why I've got so much gratitude.
But what it shows is the realness. I don't know if that's good English, but the realness.
Authenticity or authentic. Okay? Yeah, realness.
Well, it is the realness. And if that's not a correct word, it's the right word for that. We just made a new word up.
Yeah. So we haven't made up realness. That's a word.
Is it?
I think so, but if not, we haven't made it up.
Okay, I think it's 9 points on Scrabble. So realness, okay, ultimately is you're saying that, I want to say I'm so lucky, but actually life is all about credibility. And you never know when another person's asking you even a random question in a normal day, you never know where credibility could lead you. So ultimately, just by saying, look, I so want to say I'm lucky, but actually I'm living the dream at the moment because I plan to. So part of me wants to say I'm lucky, but it's not. I work very, very hard. I'll give you an example of working very, very hard. I mean, life is full of perception. Okay. What someone thinks about you is their truth. The reality is it could be wrong, but if they're not ordering from you talking business because they think you're expensive, it doesn't matter whether you're not. The fact is they didn't buy from you because they perceive you are. So I remember, oh my goodness, I was probably in my late teens, early 20s, and I'd already started my own business, working for somebody else at the same time, but supplying and fitting carpets from a market stall on a Sunday. In the winter period, I never, ever saw daylight, ever. Because on a weekday, I would leave early for work and I would be measuring for clients in their house in the evening. So it was dark when I left home, dark when I got home. And that was a retail, so it was 6 days a week. On a Sunday, I was loading my van up on a Saturday night. So on a Sunday, I would be leaving home at 5 o'clock. So that stage, I was getting up at 4 o'clock because I had hair to do. So I would leave home at 5.
Not yours.
No, I did at the time. I would literally arrive at the market stall, Western International in Hayes, right? Snow, wind, rain. I'm lugging carpets out of a van, setting up market stalls, and getting home again about 4 o'clock, and physically demanding and just so
Mentally,
tired.
yeah.
But thank goodness I was strong at the time. And all I can remember, I remember a particular example where, and I was probably 21, 22, maybe even late teens. I think I was early 20s. And one of the fitters, the carpet fitters, I booked a holiday, 2 weeks abroad. And he said, well, you're going away again? And I got really angry with that because I said, I literally reacted And I think that's been part of the way I live my life as well, because there is a bit of an embarrassment that no one else should earn me my money.
Yeah.
I earn me my money. And I remember almost aggressively pointing at him and said, where are you at 4:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning? And he kind of, and I'm not knocking anyone that drinks on him, by the way, but he kind of said, oh, I'm probably just rolling in from a night out. I said, really? Well, I'm just getting up and starting work. So don't you talk to me about holiday. I earn my
That's
life.
the Mamba mentality. That is it. Kobe Bryant, one of his sayings is, it's the 4 a.m. getting up, being there when no one else is. I had that recently as well. Not that I got angry, but someone said to me, they said, oh, what have you been doing this morning? I said, oh, I just got back from a surf. And they'd seen, and I said, oh, and I did a workout this morning as well. And this was 11 o'clock. And they went, do you ever work?
I know.
And
do you get embarrassed? Do you
No, because I'm
want to
comfortable
say
with
something different because of how they might take it? Or are you waiting to try and say, well, actually...
Neither. I'm quite...
Good.
Look, who knows what the future holds? But right now, I'm very, very content that I've achieved pretty much all the things I work towards, which isn't saying I've achieved everything, but as in the plan. So now, we're in planning phase at the moment. I'm planning, because you're helping me as my business coach now, plan my next stuff. Now we're planning for even bigger things.
Correct.
But right now, I don't need to... The results speak for themselves. So when someone said to me that, and it was funny because no one's really said it for a while. And then I think the next week, someone else said it. They said, oh, do you ever work? I said, I said I did a workout this morning from 8 till 9. I said, I was up from 6 till 8 working. And then I said I went surfing. Well, in the hour between that, while I was getting my surfboard, I was doing WhatsApp voice notes to all the Picaroons to give them instructions. The second I got out the surf, I wasn't even out in my wetsuit, I had the phone out, doing more voice notes and emails as I'm changing. Straight back home, I had one day a few weeks ago, and I did a workshop. I did a surf, then I did a 2.5 hour workshop, I think 20 people. Then I went and did a surf for an hour. Then I went and had back-to-back meetings for 3 hours. Then I went and surfed again. And then I went back and I wrote a pitch for a thing we're working on for 3 hours. And I sat back on it and I was like, I've done 3 surfs today. And I've also worked harder than I used to work when I worked in an office.
I think that's amazing. And I think people have got to live in the moment. I mean, look, what we're trying to achieve with the podcast as well. I mean, number one, I love being with you. I love having these.
It's nice.
They're great fun. Okay. But we're also, for anyone listening, we're also trying to make a difference to anyone listening that we are real people and you absolutely can achieve, maybe not as soon as you want, maybe sooner than what you want, but you can achieve living an even better lifestyle, whatever that looks like, instead of just accepting it's all challenging, it's all not. And, I'm still getting used to the fact that if someone wants to think I don't work, that's not my choice. And it's not my problem, because actually, sometimes, and this is a big message for everybody, we try and impress everybody, okay, so that everybody could possibly use our services or skills at some stage. The reality is if everybody phoned me because they wanted to use my service or skills, I couldn't cope with them anyway.
Yeah.
So it's actually understanding that you're not there for everybody. You're there for those that want to use you. And, this particular week, people don't see what you do, exactly what you said. By the end, we are now on a Wednesday as we're doing this particular podcast. So we're now on a Wednesday. I have had 2 gym sessions and I have done, 3 actually, one actually at a gymnasium and the other one 2 1-hour programs that I do. What people won't know is I started both of those programs on Monday morning, was 5:30 till 6:30 in the morning because I knew the day ahead. On Tuesday morning, I think it was 7 till 8. Tomorrow being Thursday, so I did a gym session this morning. Tomorrow being Thursday, I am playing golf all morning. And people will say, wow, so you've done 3 kind of workouts, you've played golf. But what I haven't said to them is, after my session yesterday, I said to you, I'm doing a presentation later in the next week or 2, but a presentation had to be submitted for Friday. I finished at 10 p.m. last night, but I enjoyed writing the presentation. I finished at 10 p.m. last night, which I don't have to tell anybody. And I had such a sense of satisfaction that it's about choice. So I was happy doing that. because I'm doing this.
Also, you said there, you had a sense of satisfaction.
Correct.
That's, for me, the goal. And that's why it doesn't affect me. And like you said, and we're going to probably speak a lot in this series, because both of us have a strong dislike for fake people and people that are trying to show how amazing and successful and brilliant they are.
Yep.
And for me, the thing is, just like then, if you were to do the opposite, if you were to go, so if I was to go and people say, how was your day yesterday? And I go, oh, it was amazing. I did 3 surfs and had a really good workshop. If I went, oh, it was amazing. I got up at 6 and I did some work, and then I did a surf. Then I delivered a workshop on increasing your content. Then after that, I did a surf. Then I did another workshop and I had a green smoothie. Then I did another back-to-back meeting to talk about, people be like, oh, he's one of those, like, look how busy and amazing and brilliant I am. But when you focus on what you just said then of, I'm doing it for myself. It's my own, and you just said it then of, all right, someone goes, oh, do you ever work? Because you go, well, actually, yeah, I've been putting in 70 hours the last week.
But actually, let me stop you. We somehow, isn't that justification again? It's like, just the fact we even said, we drop it in, well, I actually did 70 hours. It's like we've got to justify to them. In theory,
right. Even
theory,
then, it's like,
the answer could be, probably harder than you perceive.
But I think that goes into who we are as people, is that I don't like the thought of people thinking
it's just all coming your way.
It's just all coming my way, and I don't like the thought of luck. I don't like that thought. I like people, and also not just for myself, as you said, our output of this. And look, maybe one day I'll walk more towards things of trying to get mindset in others. I don't feel like I'm there in my career yet. I like to almost in these chats with Dad, I feel like my role is more to go, I applied all of your advice and look how happy I am. And I want that to be why more people start listening to you and your advice. But for me, everything I'm doing is about my own satisfaction. But I want to make sure that people are aware, especially with this Instagram, social media generation, that there's nothing stopping them working as hard as I did to achieve and continue and will to achieve this life I've got.
Yeah.
But I want to make it clear to people that I don't like the whole jealousy on social media and looking at people, oh, they're so lucky. And it cuts me, but sometimes when people say, oh, so lucky with that surf and that. And I was like, okay, but
no, it's not lucky.
But yeah, it's nothing stopping you, like working for 4 or 5 years, making the sacrifices I did, like not going out, investing all your money back into a business. Like you said, those early mornings, those late nights. I don't want people just to think that it's that easy. But I also don't want to come across as one of those people that goes, well, I only achieved this because of how unbelievably hard I work. And
listen, just to end this, just remember the difference between fact and boast.